Okay, now let's talk about the ethylene signaling pathway. We know that ethylene is a gaseous hormone and the signaling of ethylene is possible in a distance from a distance in the plant cells. How exactly ethylene signals? To understand ethylene signaling, you need to know that ethylene signaling involves the endoplasmic reticulum, cytosol, as well as nucleus of the plant cell. And let's look at the key players of the ethylene signaling pathway. Just like every signaling pathway, here we also see a ligand, a receptor, and repressor. We'll also see proteasomes, as well as we will see the involvement of transcription factors. So let's begin. Ethylene acts as a ligand in this signaling pathway. The receptor is known as ethylene receptor or ETR1, which are copper ion dependent receptors. Then transcription factor stabilizers, example are EIN2 and EIN3, the full form of which is ethylene insensitive protein 2, ethylene insensitive protein 3. The signal amplifier is CTR1, known as copper transporter. And then comes additional proteins, namely ETP1, known as proteolysis regulator, which acts as a mediator to add polyubiquitin to the target protein for destruction, and EIN2 target protein 1, ETP's full form, and F box protein EFB. These F box proteins composed of EFB, that is EIN3 binding F box protein, and it is also associated with choline and E2, which is a ligase that can tag polyubiquitin to a target protein for destruction. So these are the key players. Apart from that, we also have 26S proteasome complex. This 26S proteasome complex in plant cell is produced inside the nucleus as well as inside the cytoplasm. So let's see what happens. Normally, what we know is that in nucleus we have regulatory regions and the ethylene response genes. There are regulatory region of the ethylene response genes upstream of the ethylene response genes. In normal situations, the EIN3 acts as a transcription factor and it causes the transcription of ethylene response genes into mRNA, and then they will be transported into the cytosol, will be translated into the protein products required. Now let's see the situation where absence of ethylene. When there is no ethylene present, then what happens is that this is the ethylene receptor, and if there is no ethylene, then copper is added, copper is associated, because I told you that these ethylene receptors are copper ion dependent, and due to the binding of copper ion, the CTR, which is known as copper transporter, is also associated with the ETR1, and as a result what happens, there is the autophosphorylation of the H or histidine kinase domain, which is a cytosolic domain of this receptor. Now once the phosphorylation is done, then they also transfer a phosphate group to the CTR. Okay, this histidine kinase domain transfer a phosphate group to the CTR. The phosphorylated CTR will now be able to phosphorylate the other EIN2 protein. So phosphorylation of EIN2 activates the ETP1 or EIN2 targeting protein 1. As I said earlier that the ETP1 is actually a ubiquitin ligase kind of protein. So they will go and associate itself to the EIN2 and tag polyubiquitin to the EIN2 to the cytosolic site. Okay, and as a result it causes a 26S proteasome mediated degradation of the EIN2 protein, which is embedded to the ER membrane, and a portion is present in the lumen and rest in the cytoplasm. So all destruction take place, and as a result what happens is that this EIN3 also will be degraded by the association of F box proteins. Inside the nucleus, this F box proteins associated with the EIN3, and then also the E2 of the F box protein polyubiquitinate EIN3, and as a result it's another destruction signal. So the destruction will be done by involving 26S proteasome, and 26S proteasome will churn it, will degrade EIN3, the transcription factor. So as a result of which there is neither EIN2 nor EIN3 present for signaling and activating the ethylene response genes. So ethylene response gene transcription is totally inhibited in the absence of ethylene. Now let's see what happens in the presence of ethylene. In the presence of ethylene, the ethylene will bind to the ethylene receptor or ETR1, and as a result the CTR is cleaved out of the ETR1 receptor. Now the CTR, or also known as copper ion transporter, goes and interact with EIN2, and this interaction cleaves the C terminal site of EIN2. I denote it with C. Okay, this is the C terminal end of EIN2. So once the C terminal end of EIN2 is transported inside the nucleus, it binds with the F box protein, and as a result of this C terminal EIN2 binding to the F box protein, all the F box proteins inside the nucleus are occupied, and now there is no F box to degrade EIN3. So EIN3 transcription activator is free to act. It's actively available inside the nucleus. EIN3 will now go and interact to the regulatory region of the ethylene response genes, and that response cause the synthesis of ethylene response mRNA, and then this mRNA will be transported into the cytoplasm and will be converted into the proteins, which will act as a response element of the ethylene signal.